know that lightning is a form of electricity? Back in 1752, there was a man named Benjamin Franklin who was curious about lightning and did an experiment to prove that it was electrical. He went out into a thunderstorm and tied a metal key to the bottom of a kite and, as he suspected it would, electricity from the storm clouds flowed down the string, which was wet, and he received an electrical shock. This experiment was very dangerous, and he was lucky that all he received was a shock, but this turned out to be one of the most important experiments of all time. Note: never fly a kite in a storm. This is a very dangerous activity. Throughout the next 100 years, many inventors and scientists tried to find a way to use electrical power to make light. In 1879, the American inventor Thomas Edison was finally able to produce a reliable, long-lasting electric light bulb in his laboratory. By the end of the 1880s, small electrical stations based on Edison's designs were in a number of cities, but each station was able to power only a few city blocks. By 1930, the majority of people living in larger towns and cities had electricity, but only 10% of Americans who lived on farms and in rural areas had electric power. In 1935, the Rural Electric Administration was created to bring electricity to rural areas. By 1939, the percentage of rural homes with electricity had risen to 25%. Today, nearly everyone is fortunate enough to have electric power at home, school, and at work. In order to maintain this constant and reliable resource, it is important that we use it wisely every day. Edison built his first lab at the age of 10. When Edison turned 9, his mother gave him an elementary science book on how to do chemistry experiments at home. Edison was hooked. He did every experiments in the book and soon spent all his spare money buying chemicals. At the tender age of 10, Edison built his first science laboratory in the basement of his family's home. His father tried to bribe him with a penny if only Edison would get out of the basement and go read a book. This he did, but he also used the penny to buy more chemicals for experiments. And to make sure no one took his prized chemicals, he labeled all his bottles poison. Second fact: Edison saved a boy from a runaway train. At the Grand Trunk Railroad, 14-year-old Edison saved 3-year-old Jimmy McKenzie from a runaway boxcar. Jimmy's father, station agent J.U. McKenzie, was so grateful that he taught Edison how to operate the telegraph machine. Later, Edison became a telegraph operator for Western Union. He requested the night shift so he could have more time for his experiments. One day he accidentally spilled sulfuric acid while experimenting on a battery. The acid ran between the floorboards and onto his boss' desk below. Needless to say, Edison was fired the next morning. Third fact: Edison's first patented invention was a flop. In 1869, when Edison was just 22 years old, he got his first patent for a telegraphic vote recording machine for the legislature. Each legislator would move a switch on Edison's machine that would record his vote on a particular bill. When a business partner brought the invention to Washington, D.C., this is what Congress had to say about it. The chairman of the committee, unimpressed with the speed with which the instrument could record votes, told him that if there is any invention on Earth that we don't want down here, that is it. The slow pace of roll call voting in Congress and other legislatures enabled members to filibuster legislation or convince others to change their votes. Edison's vote recorder was never used. 4rth fact: Edison has a mysterious tattoo on his arm. According to a 1911 policy with the Mutual Life Insurance Company of New York, Edison had 5 dots tattooed on his left forearm. No one knew what the dots meant. Interestingly, Edison was credited for inventing the basic tattoo machine.